out our new and improved website at fanrunradio.com.
Hey Knoxville, search iced tea and vodka. David brewed tea. It's only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar, no bubbles, and no troubles. That's right. Zero carbonation. Easy to sip and enjoy. Headed to a game day or party at a friend's house? Bring an iced tea or lemonade variety pack from Surfside, or try their new tea and new raspberry tea vodka. Find the can with the sunset special this season. Surfside iced tea and vodka. Sold at bars, restaurants, and stores near you. Surfside iced tea and vodka. Sunshine in a can. Must be 21 or older. Enjoy today.
Inward Half is committed to the game and memorable moments that happen in between. From the tee box to the tailgate, from the green to the big game. For the first birdie with Dad, the first big win with Mom. Friday night lights, Saturday superstitions, Sunday traditions. Fall into the comfort and unparalleled performance of Inward Half. This fall, enjoy the walk-in.
Barley's has live music on weekends, general team trivia on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., and now live sports trivia, courtesy of the Knoxville Trivia Guys, every Thursday night upstairs. The game starts at 7 p.m. and is free to play for everyone, so head on down to the Old City and show off your sports knowledge and win gift cards to Barley's. Use those gift cards to buy some delicious food and drinks, and you can take it all in with their wide selection of TVs and indoor projectors. Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria.
At Knoxville Smiles, we're bringing the future of modern dental care to East Tennessee today. All of the scraping and polishing with the gritty stuff, that will soon be ancient history. At Knoxville Smiles, the future is here now with guided biofilm therapy. Using a gentle erythritol powder mixed with air and warm water, our hygienists can clean your teeth better than ever without all the poking and scraping. Visit KnoxvilleSmiles.com to find out more, or just call us at 865-539-1776.
This is Coach Josh Heupel. In football and life, you need a solid defense to protect what matters most. That's where Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee comes in. Score peace of mind with Farm Bureau Insurance, the official insurance of the Vols. They're your line of defense. FBITN.com.
This is Baseball VFL Cody Brown. Farm Bureau Insurance is the official insurance of the Tennessee Vols. I'm here to be that line of defense for all your insurance needs. Give me a call at 865-992-3871 and go Vols.
What's up, Fan Run Nation? This is Evan Rogers with ECR Total Landscapes. We're excited to continue our free stump grinding promotion with Fan Run Radio this year through March 31st. If you've got problem trees in your yard, give us a call and we'll come out and cut them down and grind the stumps for free when you mention you heard us right here on Fan Run Radio. Take it from Russ. We'll treat you right at ECR Total Landscapes.
That's right, Evan. I had the ECR team out to Stately Smith Manor last year, and they took down a bunch of trees for me and grinded the stumps for free. Now I don't have to worry about those trees falling on my house, and my yard looks much better. Do what I did. Call ECR Total Landscapes.
Thanks, Russ. Call us today and we'll come out and give you a free estimate. Our number is 865-384-2012. And our website is ecrtotallandscapes.com.
You're listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville, and W289CU Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
And here we go. Live from Smoky Mountain Brewery in Turkey Creek, it's the Playbook on Fan Run Radio. With Brett Hollander, Walker Smith, and Will Palumbo, I'm William Pattison. We appreciate you listening along with us on this fine Tuesday from Knoxville, Tennessee. So happy to be back here at Smoky Mountain Brewery. They treat us so well here. Great food, great cold drinks, great atmosphere. The best place to watch a game and enjoy a nice day in Knoxville, Tennessee, where the weather is starting to get a little bit warmer. I'm liking that.
Absolutely.
You know, my big problem right now is waking up in the morning and knowing what I need to wear. But regardless, I'm excited to be back here at Turkey Creek, back here at Smoky Mountain Brewery with some great weather. And we've got plenty to talk about over the next 2 hours, including the latest projections for Tennessee basketball in terms of March Madness, the men's tournament. Joe Lunardi gave his updated projections earlier today following Tennessee's loss on Saturday at Kentucky. We'll tell you where the Volunteers land, who they would possibly have to go up against, and if this is a group that's going to bounce back on Wednesday when they travel to Starkville to take on Mississippi State. And then we're going to talk some Tennessee baseball. How about that,
Nice.
Brett? It's opening week.
Feels like baseball weather out there.
It does. It's opening week for the Volunteers, and yesterday, new Tennessee baseball coach Josh Elander announced who is going to be those Sunday starters, or excuse me, the starting
Weekend
group
starters.
in period, weekend starters, I should say, and really excited for this group. I think they have the potential to be really, really good. So we'll talk about that. And then a little bit later on, Joey Aguilar. It's kind of decision week, or at least the court session is going down on Friday. We'll see if we actually get a response and an answer on Friday as to his future. But with Charles Bediako and his ruling officially being made last night, we'll tell you how that affects Aguilar and how we're feeling the week of the injunction taken down this weekend. And then the NFL may be over, but that doesn't mean we can't talk about it and talk about the guys boarding the plane into the offseason that we have the most confidence with moving into the new season. So we'll have a fun boarding the offseason plane game today. We'll do our top 10 quarterbacks heading into the new year. So plenty to cover on a fine Tuesday here in K-Town. So happy you're here joining us. And if you're on the YouTube chat, make sure to like and subscribe and comment so that you can get involved in the action. But before we get into the action, let's welcome in the rest of the crew, beginning with Brett, who's by my side here at Smoky Mountain Brewery. Brett, how are you today?
Good, man. Yeah, it's great to be back out here. It's like, our third time, I think, that we've done a show. It's once again, the hospitality's been great. The minute we walked in the door, very helpful people around here. You can smell the food, smell the drinks, everything's flowing. Got the TVs going, got the Olympics on. And I got shorts on. I never would have thought that. It was, sweatpants when I woke up, like you said, and then I maybe had to make the change when I stepped outside. So it's very nice outside and beautiful day to be here.
Yeah, most definitely. And then back at the station, the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios, we got Walker Smith manning things down for us as always. We appreciate his efforts. And Will Palumbo joining him as well at the production desk in the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios. Will, how are you? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys all clear.
Good deal. Will, how are you today, buddy?
Doing good. Like I said, the weather's feeling great. I got my flops on right now at the office. But hopefully you can get to go golf pretty soon if the weather stays like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's good weather for it, most definitely. I'm just hoping we don't get like an Uno reverse card, like great weather during the week, and then we go into the weekend and it's back to rain and cold.
I know, yeah, you're right, yeah. So hopefully, though, I think it's supposed to be a little cooler, but it should be good for some baseball this weekend.
All right, well, let's get into our first things first topic, and that is the latest projections for Tennessee basketball as Tennessee remains on the 5-seed line despite falling to Kentucky 74-71 on the road over the weekend. ESPN's Joe Lunardi slated the Vols in the South region, facing number 12 Stephen F. Austin in the round of 64. And other teams included UConn as the number 1 seed, Houston as the 2 seed, Purdue as the 3 seed, and Virginia as the 4 seed. And Lunardi projects that 8 other SEC teams will make the field, including Florida, a 3 seed, Vanderbilt, a 5 seed, Alabama, another 5 seed, Arkansas as a 6 seed, Kentucky as a 7, Texas A&M as an 8, Auburn as an 8, and finally Texas on that 11 seed line. Missouri was one of the first teams out. So just kind of looking at how this is stacking up, how far do you think the Vols will go in the tournament? And we can base it off this projection. We could base it off what we have seen from this team over the last 2 to 3 weeks. I'm going to do a little bit of both because I know a lot of Tennessee fans hear the names Houston and Purdue in the same region potentially as the Volunteers and probably start getting some flashbacks as Tennessee has been axed from the tournament the last 2 years by both Purdue and Houston respectively. And then UConn, a really good basketball team as well. They've seemed to get back to their winning ways under Dan Hurley this year. And those teams would most definitely be difficult matchups for the Volunteers. But I think a lot of it in the tournament is finding momentum and finding yourself and being able to rely on really good guard play, which I think Tennessee has one, Jacoby Gillespie. Also have an experienced, well-respected coach, and that's Rick Barnes. I still think he's one of the best that college basketball has to offer. And really just comes down to game. Can you beat the team in front of you? Can you handle the potential miscues and momentum swings that occur in these matchups? Can you handle that type of stuff? And at least early on against the Stephen F. Austin, Tennessee's going to be more a talented team. But then as you go down, maybe it gets a little bit more interesting when you're taking on a Virginia. But I still think this is a second weekend team. That was my original projection at the beginning of the season. And I know there have been some ups and downs and bumps across the road. But I still believe that this is a second weekend team because I think that Rick Barnes has proven over the last couple of years that he can find a way to get to that second weekend and is just going to outcoach or outperform with the roster you have in place the opposing teams that you face in that first week. And so I still think Tennessee's a second weekend team regardless of where people stand following that Kentucky loss on Saturday. Brett, to you, what do you think the Vols do in the tournament? What would your projection be at the moment?
Yeah, you know me. I've been about as, I guess you can go and say, negative on this team as anybody. The inconsistencies that we've shown as an offensive group, have really showed their head, especially against Kentucky. We saw that. Ament is playing at a high level. I just worry about the secondary pieces that this team has, and we saw it against Kentucky. If your top two guys aren't going, then you're going to struggle. And in the tournament, you really can't afford that. You need your best guys playing their best basketball. We're kind of the past few weeks we've beaten up on some lesser teams in the conference, and we've lost to the good teams. So that's a little worrisome. I think the ceiling is the second weekend. Looking at this is just a projection, but this is a second weekend mini bracket, you could say, and you would see yourself as a matchup against UConn. But again, the inconsistencies of this team and not knowing you're going to get week in and week out is worrisome. Your lack of shooting is worrisome, and the easiest shots on the court right now we're struggling with inside the paint. So, I think our defense will be there, and that always travels. That always is good to have in March. But yeah, right now I could see this team being a one and done as we sit here today.
Well, yesterday we broke down the takeaways from Tennessee and Kentucky, but one thing that we kind of touched on but didn't really dive fully into is something I wanted to discuss today, and that's Tennessee head coach Rick Barnes admitting to a late game mistake against Kentucky on Saturday. Now, folks, obviously it was a tight game, late, 7.3 seconds on the clock. Kentucky's Colin Chandler goes to the free throw line, and Tennessee opted not to have Dwayne Brown II on the court during Kentucky's free throw attempt, and that then led to an offensive rebound for the Wildcats, an opportunity to then make this a little bit more difficult for the Vols to come back. And Barnes said post-game, quote, "That was my fault. Again, that was my fault. I should have had Dwayne in there. Should have had him in there for that rebound, so I'll take that one." And Barnes received a lot of criticism following the loss on Saturday, whether it was the substitution for Dwayne Brown specifically or, Nate Ament not being in on those final moments of the game, those final couple of possessions, that is. So do you blame the loss on Barnes, or was this just another characteristic of this team throughout the season? As I talked about yesterday, a team that cannot play two complete halves. And I know it's easy to pick, one specific play and one, latter moment in the game and say, well, that's what caused the loss. But to me, it's the three-point shooting that was absent in that second half. It was, the lack of second chance points that you had in terms of opportunities. You out-rebound Kentucky, but they have a double-digit advantage in second chance points. How does that add up? So I think there were a lot of different things throughout the game that added up to that end result, like you had against Kentucky a couple of weeks ago, where you kind of did the same thing. Big-time lead, 17 points at home, and then you slowly coughed that lead up. Kind of the same thing that went down Saturday. I know there are a lot of different things you could get upset about Barnes for, but I really just look at it as a team that has a fatal flaw, and that is not being able to finish basketball games. So I don't blame the loss entirely on Barnes. I just think it's a bigger part of this year's picture.
Yeah, I mean, I agree to some extent about the whole Barnes thing. Chandler is also, maybe Barnes is thinking 90% free throw shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Chances of him missing are pretty slim in those situations. It was a wicked bounce, I will say. It carried, across the lane behind Akbar. So that was a funny bounce. But again, to your point, that's a rebound you got to come up with. The whole Nate Ament thing, we'll never know. I don't think maybe Nate has to come out. You're safe for offense, defense, substitutions, that sort of thing. Because he could have been in for Mari Evans could have been for him. Who knows? But again, Carey was in no man's land. But I gotta give Owe a lot of credit. That was an unbelievable pass from underneath the basket. He's a really good player. Chandler's a really good shooter, and things like that. So, there was a number of things you can point to that you lost that second half. Gillespie, 1.0 assists. You got to be better.
Yeah.
Nate Ament, great game, 29 points, only 10 in the second half. Kind of closing time. He hit a couple shots here and there. I'd like to see him be a little more aggressive, want the ball, things like that. So, the second half has been trying to put two complete halves has been a struggle for Tennessee this year. And,
sure.
It's unfortunate that it happened at the worst time against Kentucky, because you win that game, you look at the schedule ahead, this could have been a huge run going into SEC tournament play.
Yeah, and we'll look at the YouTube chat real quick. Buck chiming in saying, Will, at some point we have to realize that being a nice guy and making the tournament isn't being a great coach. Well, I'll say back to that, Buck. The guy has made back-to-back Elite Eights. I mean, that is a really difficult thing to do that Tennessee has made look pretty easy over the last 2 seasons. And I think this is a coach that has done this for years and has brought a lot of life into this Tennessee program, and has done so with different iterations of teams, too. Like, what I think is really interesting right now when you look at the college basketball landscape, look at a team like Kansas State. Jerome Tang took that job over, had that team in the Elite Eight. It was a crazy run for them.
Yeah.
But they haven't done a damn thing since.
Yeah.
And to me, that shows a one-off year or just a lucky run or just the right group versus a coach that can put together consecutive strong seasons like Barnes has done. And there are not a lot of coaches in college basketball that can say the same thing. There are not a lot of coaches that can say, I've taken my team to the Elite Eight twice in the last 2 years and have had this team in the second weekend of the tournament now for 3 straight years. So I would push back on the fact that he's just the nice guy or has just the nice guy in making the tournament. He's done more than just being the nice guy and make the tournament in my eyes. He's a guy that's had success in it as well. Buck also says you can't finish a game in the first half. That is true. Yeah. And sometimes Tennessee,
that's a smart one.
Sometimes Tennessee doesn't even bother showing up in the first half, and it takes a second half effort to come back and make up for a lot of the miscues in that first half. But again, we talked about it yesterday, Brett. The biggest flaw with this team is that you just can't get a consistent performance. Where Nate Ament was brilliant on Saturday night, 29 points, tying a career high. Jacoby Gillespie had 14 points in that first half as well.
Yep.
And that 1-2 punch that you usually get between the two was fully rolling. And then Jacoby Gillespie just gets 1 point in that second half. For a team that is very reliant on their stars and very reliant on their highest usage players, you can't have a 1-point performance in a second half on the road against Kentucky. So there are so many different variables that go into Tennessee not being able to play 2 halves of basketball. But overall, I think that's just the biggest issue with this team. Can it be fixed? We'll have to see. But at least Barnes has told me before, and in terms of the games I've watched, that this team can get better and that this team can play their best basketball from the last month on into the season, heading into the tournament, which I think is really key as well. The teams that play their best basketball in January and December are not the teams that have a whole lot of success in the tournament. The ones that start figuring things out at a critical point in the season, which I think Tennessee did do, won 5 out of your last 7, I think that carries well when it comes to the tournament. But to you, do you kind of feel that same sentiment, or is this more of a, Barnes has just kind of gotten lucky here, or Barnes is not the guy that can take you over the hump until the Final Four? Are you okay with being the Elite Eight team, or are you going to be frustrated if Tennessee once again is not able to make it to the Final Four teams?
Yeah, yes and no. Barnes has been unbelievable for this program. He's put it at a high level, elite level, as you could say, last 2 seasons. Barnes calls your number, you got to be ready to play. Barnes is who he is, and he's admitted his mistakes and things like that. Last 2 Elite Eights, you lost a really good basketball team. You lost a Zach Edey team, unbelievable team in Houston. You had your struggles there. A lot of it's just comes down to the players and things like that. But, I give all the credit in the world to Barnes for what he's done. And I don't know if this it doesn't seem like the team that's going to get you over the hump into the Final Four this year. Unfortunately, Barnes does take a little bit as far as roster construction. We've talked about that a lot.
Yep.
His most successful teams the last 2 seasons have been kind of up and down, shooting 3 balls, things like that. So this has been his toughest year, trying to manage this team and get some offense, because I think you just have a bunch of role players and then a couple of high-end talent players and stuff like that. But you need other guys to step up, your Estrellas and things like that, to really put you over the hump. And I don't know if we can get there this year.
David Speaks chimes in on the YouTube chat. Gillespie finally has a partner in Ament, but you need your front court to help too. And that's been a big piece of this Tennessee team and their woes recently as well. Obviously, Cade Phillips goes down with a season-ending injury. You knew you had to kind of pivot a little bit there, but you still like the depth that you saw in out-of-conference play with Dwayne Brown II, a true freshman that stepped up in that Phillips role. You've also got a Jalen Carey, an experienced bruiser down low. And then JP Estrella, the guy I think has the best touch on the team, has had some really nice offensive performances. Felix Akpara, obviously dealing with injury right now, looking to get him 100% over the next couple of weeks as you move into postseason play. But I think, we could be critical about Akpara, but I think he's, your starter for a reason, one of your most established players. When you look at the other 3 guys, though, JP Estrella, again, best touch on the team, but he's a defensive liability. Jalen Carey, a really good rebounder, but struggles to put it back in the basket, and the numbers from 2 feet away from the cup are horrendous. Been around 50% from being 2 feet away from the rim. And then with Dwayne Brown, I really liked what I saw from him against Kentucky, but he's also had his moments and stretches of SEC play where there are moments that doesn't look like he's, fully involved in the game, not working out. You need to make a sub. And there are other nights, like you saw Saturday, where things were working. I think that's just a bigger characteristic of the team, though, right? Where you're not able to play 2 complete halves of basketball. You're not able to get 2, complete things from some of your down low players. Like, again, Estrella, really good on the offensive side. Struggles defensively. Carey, you really like what you get with him on the glass, but my golly, he struggles putting it back up. And then with Dwayne Brown, again, just sometimes player. He's in rhythm, sometimes he's out. He's a young player. You have to deal with it. But what do you make of the post play going into the kind of final stretch? You get two kind of give me games coming up. Mississippi State on Wednesday. We'll talk more about that here in a moment. Then LSU this weekend. But what do you make of the interior depth right now? Because at the beginning of the season, it seemed like it was going to be a huge strength of this team. Now it's just becoming another inconsistency.
The strength is the fact that you have depth. That's about as far as I can go. They're really good on the glass, but they're just terrible at finishing. And come March, you're going to play teams with size, and you're not going to be able to bank on these offensive rebounds and easy putbacks and that, which has been your best offense, has been your offensive rebounding and things like that. So you're going to run against teams, like I said, that are bigger, as physical and things like that, where it's just not going to be that easy to get your second chance. And if you're struggling right now, putting the ball in the basket, what makes me think you're going to be able to do it later in the season? I like the effort all the guys show. They all have a role. And I don't think they're limited in certain areas. And that's not good when you really need them to be a strength of your basketball team. But again, this is a historically great rebounding team. But, with those teams that we've compared them to in the years past, they put the ball in the basket after getting those rebounds. Because I believe one of those teams went on to win a national championship, Michigan State. So, what do you do when you get the ball? You've been one to say, hey, let's pull it back out, run some clock, get another shot.
Sure.
Some people are like the idea of putting it back up and in. But, and sometimes we're getting fouled too. We're not a great foul shooting team. That affects you in March as well. And our bigs aren't good at foul shooting. So, the good is that they're good rebounders. The bad is they just can't finish, and they're limited in that, and that's unfortunate to see.
A couple of YouTube chats are right on the money with what I wanted to bring up because it is kind of this time of year where Tennessee goes on the road to another SEC team and kind of has a head-scratching loss. Last year it was Ole Miss. You go on the road to Ole Miss, a team that was solid and ended up being a Sweet 16 team in the tournament. Yep. But obviously a group at the time, you had a better team than. And it kind of feels like you could be encroaching on a game like that this Wednesday when you go to Mississippi State. Now, Mississippi State is not going to be a tournament team unless they win the SEC tournament, unlike Ole Miss last year. Right. They got a point guard in Josh Hubbard that can fill it up any night.
Yes.
And that's a guy that can go for 30 quickly. And if he's on the money, if he's able to hit his shots, then I worry, is Tennessee going to be able to keep up with a guy like that? And obviously, basketball is a five-person sport, in terms of guys on the court for your team. But I will say it's one of those sports where if a guy is just on and takes over, it could be too much to overcome. So I think Tennessee bounces back, but I am worried about kind of what the vibe of the team is right now. You're coming off a tough loss, a game in which you were up 14 points on the road in Rupp Arena. And now you got to hit the road again against a Mississippi State team that is lower to, kind of just a lower team in the SEC.
Half,
Easy to overlook them. Are you concerned about Tennessee traveling to Mississippi State tomorrow?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be a tough environment. I think we've struggled down there in the past at Mississippi State, the hump. You spoke of Josh Hubbard. He's going to get his buckets. How hard do you make it for him to get those buckets? Because he can take a lot of shots.
Yep.
He's going to try and single-handed win this game. He's a veteran player, things like that. But, they have a lot of weaknesses on their team. I just worry about, as you said, the hangover from Saturday. I'd be more worried, I think, if it was tonight. I think just that extra day kind of helps a little bit. But, SEC, even though the conference was tougher last year, it's still the SEC.
Yeah.
It's a road game. We haven't been great on the road by any means. So this is a can't-lose game.
Yeah.
Your seeds fluctuating from 4 to 6. You don't want to continue to go backwards, slide down that bracket sheet. So, and you kind of want to stay in line for a double bye for the SEC tournament as well. So, there's a lot to play for, and things like that. But it starts with your best players again. They're the ones that got to come in, especially Gillespie, because I think we're all confident to know that Nate's going to get his and 20 plus on the reg now. So it's going to be a dogfight, no doubt about it. But I know I've picked the opposing team a lot, but I think I will end up picking us to win this one tomorrow night, though.
Tennessee will look to bounce back on Wednesday against Mississippi State with tip-off slated for 9 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN2, a late night. So grab your coffee or your Mountain Dew, whatever your choice of energy is. Should be a late night tomorrow night, but a big one for Tennessee as they look to bounce back after a tough loss at Kentucky this past weekend. When we come back, however, we're going to switch to the diamond. We haven't done that in a long time, but the starters for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday have been announced by Josh Elander. And folks, this is going to be a scary group. We'll break it down when we return right here on the Playbook, live from Smoky Mountain Brewery in Turkey Creek on Fan Run Radio.
For the fans, by the fans, this is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
What kind of day is it? It's a White Claw day. Grab a pack, grab your friends, everything else in life will wait. Your friends too. Let's go. White Claw. Grab life by the claw. Please drink responsibly. Hard seltzer with flavor. White Claw seltzer, Chicago, Illinois.
We really need to get some branded stuff. Shirts, hats, promo items, something professional. I mean, we could just find a website and order a bunch of it ourselves. You could, but you're taking a big risk. You don't know the quality, the fit, the timeline. It's a roll of the dice. Yeah, I guess. Isn't that how everyone does it now? Not the ones who actually care about how their brand looks. Look, if you're putting our name on it, it needs to be done right. We need SM Athletics.
SM Athletics.
Yeah. We specialize in working with businesses like ours. Apparel, hats, promo gear. But real, that's my stuff. They actually care if they're done right.
Probably a lot better than getting stuck with 100
t-shirts with logos. Exactly. Plus, they'll walk you through everything. Sizing, colors, material, what matches the image we're trying to build. Makes sense. What's the name again? SM Athletic. Trust me. If you want to look like a real company, not a flea market stand, this is the move. If you're serious about your brand, work with people who are serious about getting it right. SM Athletic.
What's up, Fan Run Nation? This is Evan Rogers with ECR Total Landscapes. I'm happy to announce that our free stump grinding promotion for Fan Run Radio listeners is now extended to March 31st, 2026. If you've got trees in your yard that need to come down before they fall on your home, don't risk it. Call ECR Total Landscapes and mention you heard our ad on Fan Run Radio. We'll get rid of that problem tree for you and grind those stumps free. Call us at 865-384-2012 or check us out online at ecrtotallandscapes.com.
Got a flat tire? Strange noise under the hood? Don't stress. Roll into Matlock Tire and Auto Service. From oil changes and brake repairs to brand new tires, Matlock certified techs do it all. Fast, friendly, and fair priced. Matlock is the home of the price match guarantee. Bring in any competitor's ad, and Matlock will match the exact same tires with the exact same price. Matlock Tire and Auto Service. 5 locations in East Tennessee. Visit MatlockTireService.com to find the location nearest you and schedule your appointment.
Fan Run Radio, where Big Orange Country comes to talk sports. Start your morning off with your daily dose of talk sports with John Reed and Cody McClure from 8 to 11. Then it's Tony Basilio from 11 to 1, the Playbook with William Patterson from 1 to 3, and the Drive from 3 to 6. It's 10 hours of hard-hitting local sports radio every day, right here on the flagship station for Tennessee fans. This is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
All right, back here on the Playbook on a fine Tuesday from Knoxville, Tennessee. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Appreciate the fine folks of Smoky Mountain Brewery for having us today. Again, a great place to watch a game. Come grab a cold one after work. Come grab a bite, whatever it may be. And every time I'm here, I always talk about the TVs because in my eyes, folks, if you're going to go watch a game somewhere, if you're going to hang out, you got to have some TVs. And my golly, they have some at Smoky Mountain Brewery here in Turkey Creek. So come join us for the second hour if you're not already here. And then also check out the Drive from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time right here in K-Town for a fun show planned by Russell Smith, Bob Baskerville, the Bear, and Walker Smith, the rest of the guys, rounding out your day here in K-Town. But let's round the diamond to some Tennessee baseball, folks.
It's exciting.
Tennessee baseball kicks off officially this weekend, and the Vols will roll with Tegan Coons on Friday, Landon Mack on Saturday, and Evan Blanco on Sunday to open the season as the weekend pitching rotation. Coach Josh Elander announced on Monday, saying, quote, "I think that it puts us in the best position to have success out of the gate." And the Vols will open the season against Nichols on Friday. First pitch scheduled for 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the SEC Network Plus. Will be one of 3 games going down inside Lindsey Nelson Stadium this weekend. And should be cool for a lot of people to get inside the ballpark, too. I know a lot of renovations have been done, and I'm excited for the new season to get kicked off. New coach,
New chapter, right?
Yeah, new coach, new chapter, new team.
Is it a different chapter because he's been there for a while?
Well,
a lot of the coaching staff.
maybe-
How would you say?
Maybe it's the same book, but a different chapter. We'll do that.
Okay.
Same book, different chapter, as Chapter 2, Josh Elander, begins this weekend. But I do want to talk about these pitchers, and I'm going to give a little bit of info on each of them because this is a really, really impressive group. We'll begin with Tegan Coons, a right-handed pitcher, was a Herald recruit in 2024 and was in the rotation as a freshman. Started 10 games, made 15 appearances, and some of those had mixed results, but he went 2 of 4 with a 5.40 ERA, striking out 40 and walking 16 in 36.2 innings of action. And he followed that up by going to Cape Cod, the Cape Cod League,
lit it up.
over the summer and lit that up. And Elander's excited about it. He was talking yesterday about Coons taking that jump, saying, quote, "I think he has just made a jump.
Mm-hmm.
He's made some changes on the pitching side. I think it gives him a little bit more windows where he can attack both righties and lefties than just when you come to the competitiveness, right? I think it's as good as it gets right there with Tegan. And that's some high praise because once you get into SEC play, you got to have a competitor.
Yeah.
And my golly, did we have one last year in Liam Doyle? That guy had some competitive energy to him. And I think Coons is going to be one of those players who might have struggled last season, had his opportunities, but this year gets to really blossom. And if the summer was any indication of that, I think Tennessee is in good hands. He's going to be your Friday guy. On Saturday, you got Landon Mack, a transfer from Rutgers. He's another right-handed pitcher, had a 6.5 record with a 4.03 ERA as a freshman. And he started 15 games, was named to the Big Ten All-Freshman team, and he had a really, really strong strikeout-to-walk ratio. Listen to this, folks. 70 strikeouts to just 17 walks in 80 innings of action.
Yeah.
And this is what Elander had to say, and this is some pretty high praise, too. Landon, when I think of him, there's some Chase Dolander in there. Just even some similarities in the delivery, but the compete factor is about as good as it gets, and the stuff is just as gross, to be honest. It's really good stuff. I think he gives you stability in the middle of the rotation. Some more high praise for Elander. And the guy I'm probably most excited about is this Blanco kid coming over from Virginia. 12-8 as a starter. 4.17 ERA in 3 seasons with the Cavaliers, where he pitched in 56 games and made 26 starts. Started 18 games in 2024 and 18 in 2024, 8 in 2025. But his best season was 2024 when he had a 8-3 record with a 3.62 ERA, 99 strikeouts to 27 walks, and 99.1 innings of work. And in his career, he's only walked 46 batters in 162 innings of action. Another guy that I think is going to be a huge boost on Sundays. And he's got the experience too. Played in the College World Series when Virginia made it. That's a guy that's been on the biggest stage and has performed on the biggest stage. And this is what Elander had to say about Blanco. Quote, you know what you're going to get. It's a very comforting feeling as a coach. He had arguably, numbers-wise, the best fall of any pitcher we had on the staff. I name off all the statistics and numbers from those 3 guys because I want to paint the full picture here. And I think the full picture is that this is a scary rotation to go up against, at least on paper, heading into the season. And I feel like over the last couple of years, you had, a strong Friday guy, a strong Saturday guy, but then Sunday's kind of been the piece together thing, right? Or you've been trying to figure out that rotation over the course of a season. At least with this current group, I feel pretty confident that you got a great pitcher on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and that's going to carry weight not only in the out-of-conference play where you're trying to figure things out, but once you get into the SEC play when you're playing some really good baseball teams, I like to have a stable 3-man unit, and I think that's what you got right now. What do you make of this kind of 3-headed monster that you get in this current weekend rotation?
Elite. I mean, that's what Tennessee is now. They're elite baseball program. They have elite players, and I think this year it almost starts with this pitching staff and these three guys. You know, Blanco and Mack were both Friday night starters at their previous stops. So that just tells you how good pitchers they are, because they're pitching at a high level and very good conference, especially Blanco, who's the Friday night guy there, you know. And so you have all the confidence in the world. Like, this is the strongest, you know, you have to go back to like Dolander and I can't even think of his name now, plays pitches for the Reds, but that group, that threesome you had back then, that were really good. They're going to have elite pitching all the way through, because like you said, Sunday was a struggle, and was a little bit of struggle on Saturdays at times, and things like that. So this is the best group we've had as a collective whole in quite some time. And yeah, I'm excited about all three of these guys, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of reason to be excited because all of them have some sort of experience or momentum heading into the new year. With a guy like Coons, did a really job in the Cape Cod League. Mac, an all Big Ten freshman team member last year, and obviously Blanco, a guy I'm really, really excited about. But when you start kind of shaping up this upcoming season, I know we're in February. It's February 10th. The College World Series isn't going to be for many, many months. But it's never too early to talk expectations. And I think it's interesting because what are the expectations for Josh Elander, right? Tony Vitello gets up and leaves in the fall. It had been rumored, it had been talked about for a couple of weeks, but it's not like you had a long month or a long off season to prepare for this. Elander was kind of thrusted into the position. I think it was the right hire.
Absolutely.
You agree with that? I agree with that.
100%.
To keep this team intact currently, you got a guy that everyone was familiar with. But in terms of the X's and O's, is this a coach that can lead Tennessee back to Omaha is a question that many people have. And at least for my expectations, just get to the second weekend type of deal for me. I know Omaha is going to be the point everyone wants to get to, but you have to keep in mind this is a tough spot to be thrusted into. And I think a second weekend team that competes is still a really good sign of where this program could go. I know you've got a lot of really talented players. Elander had part in that. Vitello had part in that. But Vitello, I think, is coaching MLB baseball for a reason.
Yes.
His impact is most certainly there. So I think it's easy to expect a bit of a drop-off, and that's why I go kind of that second weekend range would be a great expectation to have for a team and a program that has now set a standard for being really good in college baseball. What do you have in terms of the expectations for this group?
I think the ultimate goal is to be one of the top seeds in the postseason. I think you want to be one of those nationally 1 through 8 seeds. I think that kind of hurt us last year going to the postseason. We had to try and win to get the next stage at I think it was at Arkansas. We saw what that turned into and things like that. But I think with this team, the depth of pitching, we didn't even mention Brandon Arvidsson.
Yeah.
We didn't mention Braden Krenzel.
Yeah.
Just two other guys that have elite start. We saw what Arvidsson did at the end of last season.
Yeah.
And he decided to come back. So he's got the potential to start, do multiple things for you. And then the lineup, a lot of new faces we'll see, but a lot of exciting new faces. And I think if you put it all together, this conference is loaded. I mean, there's, one poll had a 17th, but it was 10th in the SEC.
Yeah.
So it's a tough conference. You got a tough schedule. So you're going to have your bumps in the road, but I think this team has the talent to get to Omaha. And I think that should be, until we see it otherwise, the Supers is definite, and Omaha is definitely on the table with this team, because I think you saw the excitement in the players that Elander was staying on board.
Yeah.
The loss of Frank Anderson too is going to be a loss. Replacing him, but a lot of these guys were recruited by these guys, and the hitting is attributed to Elander and things like that. So I'm very high on this baseball team, and until otherwise proven, then my expectations are still going to remain the same, despite who's leading the charge for us.
And I think you gotta go back to the guys you brought in through the portal. Some really, really good names on that list, and guys that very easily could have gone to the MLB, could have gone to the farm system and try to just kind of work their way up there. But they said, no, I'm coming back to college, and I'm chasing a national championship. And again,
Yes.
that's the goal, right? But
Yeah.
For me to give a fair expectation in year one with Elander, I think it's fair to say a second weekend team, because I like the pitchers you have, but how much of an effect is Frank Anderson not being here, as you mentioned, right? So I think early on in the out-of-conference play, you'll start to kind of familiarize yourself with what this team is going to look like, but you're really not going to know how good a team is until you start playing SEC baseball.
Yeah.
And that's, I believe, Georgia's the first series of the season, and then Missouri. Maybe that Georgia series is going to be a good one.
A top 5 team, I believe, this year, so they're really good.
Georgia's going to be a good one, but first couple of weeks you'll learn a lot about these guys. You'll learn where Tennessee's going to be in that standing. But again, expectation for me, a team that makes the second weekend.
And I think like an example that you hope doesn't come to fruition is what you saw with A&M last year. A&M, had to replace Nottsnagel, who went on to Texas and replaced him with the hitting coach.
Yeah.
A guy that players were familiar with, had a loaded team coming back. They missed the postseason altogether. Now, I don't think we're going to get to that thing. They had some injuries, different things like that, but it doesn't necessarily always work, but something tells me it's going to be different with Elander because of the group of guys he's put together. And I think, this pitching staff, again, I think we're underselling it almost.
Sure.
I think these guys all have the ability to pitch in the majors, and that is a really good thing to have on your side.
Yeah, most definitely. We talked about the pitchers, right? That opening slate for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Outside of the pitchers, as you got a couple of newcomers, and also people on the chat as well talking about Krenzel, who was ETSU ace, and then Arvidsson, Blaine. There are a lot of,
and I believe Brady Frederick,
Brady
kid from ETSU, he has the submarine type pitcher. So he's going to be a unique guy. Local product from my high school, Bearden, shout out. You got veteran guy Mark Hindy, a lefty from Duke. So I mean, it's a really good baseball team.
Outside of those pitchers, talking about the bats, the guys that are going to be a big part of this, Josh Elander offense continuing. Most excited player.
I mean, the easy one is Henry Ford, another kid from Virginia, uber talented, can play multiple positions. I mean, you can go through the list. Manny Marin, I expect to make a jump. Jay Abernathy. I mean, you can go down the list. Levi Clark, his second season. I mean, you can just go name after name. I hope Reese Chapman, a senior. He needs to make bounce back. And then this kid that's been talked about along with some of the others is Blaine Brown. An outfielder, DH, left-handed pitcher even from Rice. Evidently hits the ball as far as anybody on the team. So, I mean, you can go down. I mean, I got the roster pulled up. You can. Their names, and they're really good baseball players, and so they can put it all together. I'm telling you, Tennessee's gonna, it's that's why the expectations high for me, because these are good baseball players, and they know what they're doing. And if the only question is the coach, then I don't know. That seems like it's on the player, but I'm so excited about baseball this season. So
Henry Ford, I think it's tough not to get excited about him.
Absolutely,
was selected to the Golden Spikes Award preseason watch list, and that's an honor that I feel like he'll be in the running for if he's the type of player that is expected out of the portal. Was another Virginia kid last year, as was a Blanco, and maybe that Virginia to Tennessee pipeline taps out to be one of the bigger pieces of this team this upcoming season. Really excited for baseball, though. Things get tipped off, first pitch, kicked off, whatever you want to call it, on Friday. When Tennessee takes on Nichols, and that's at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the SEC Network Plus. All games this weekend broadcasted on the SEC Network Plus, that is. But should be fun inside LNS. Happy to get everyone back in the stands and get this new season rolling.
Absolutely.
When we come back, we'll wrap up hour number one. Stay right here. It's the Playbook live from Smoky Mountain Brewery in Turkey Creek on Fan Run Radio.
Subscribing to our podcast feed, like, rate, and download the show from the Fan Run app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Located in Knoxville's historic Old City, Barley's offers great food, live music, the best draft beer selection in town, and now your new favorite place to watch sports. Their indoor projector is perfect for any weather, and they've revamped their upstairs area with more TVs to take in all of the action. Their menu features hand-battered chicken tenders, juicy burgers, fresh salads, and the tastiest pizza in Knoxville. You can enjoy their happy hour drink specials daily from open until 6 p.m. Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, third-generation race car driver. And we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough. But if you notice something, have a conversation with them. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time-to-talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Blackford Veterinary Surgery Referral specializes in surgeries not regularly performed by your pet's general veterinarian. They're currently accepting referrals from vets all across the country. With their newly renovated state-of-the-art surgery center and highly trained staff, clients can rely on professional and thorough care. If your vet says that your pet needs surgery or rehab, ask for a referral to Blackford Vet and let them get your best friend back on its feet. Located conveniently in West Knoxville. For more information, visit BlackfordVetSurgery.com.
Life is more fun with a Good Life checking account from Citizens National Bank, offering extra benefits including bank travel. This September, experience the perfect fall getaway on the New England Rails and Sails Tour, or join CNB in October to chase the Northern Lights in Iceland. Get in on the fun by calling 865-429-7935. Member FDIC.
Your smile says it all, so make sure it's saying the right thing. At Knoxville Smiles, we believe healthy teeth mean happy lives. Whether it's a routine cleaning, whitening for that big event, or fixing a nagging toothache, our gentle team is here for you. With flexible hours, family-friendly care, and the latest technology, Knoxville Smiles makes every visit stress-free. Don't wait another day to love your smile. Call Knoxville Smiles today at 865-539-1776 or book online at knoxvillesmiles.com. Smile brighter with Knoxville Smiles.
All right, back here on the Playbook, live from Smoky Mountain Brewery in Turkey Creek. We appreciate you listening along with us, however you may be doing so, on the free Fan Run Radio app or on that YouTube live stream. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe so that you never miss any Fan Run content. And real quick, before the hour mark, let's talk a little bit about this very interesting story and tragic story that occurred over the weekend, and that is James Pierce Jr., a former Tennessee Edge that has now found himself in the NFL, was a first-round selection to the Atlanta Falcons in 2025, but has found himself back on the wrong side of issues. And that was something that was talked about in the pre-draft process with Pierce. There were questions about his character and questions about, would that be a draftable guy in the first round? Could you take a risk on a guy like that? And a lot of that was kind of put to bed, and he had a really strong season. 10.5 sacks, was a defensive rookie of the year this year for the Falcons. And then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, you see this trending story in the video, and it's horrible. It's truly a sad story, and just kind of reading off the details from ESPN and the Falcons reporters, just so we report the story accurately. He allegedly crashed his vehicle into one being driven by WNBA player and former Tennessee Lady Volunteer Rakia Jackson multiple times. and then struck a police officer with the vehicle while evading arrest, and that is according to the criminal complaint obtained by ESPN. And one of the charges, he could face a minimum of 5 years, which would then, kind of derail his career.
Yeah.
And it's a sad story, but at the end of the day, you've got to be smarter there's no way to look at it. You've got to be smarter. This is a kid that has everything in front of him, has millions of dollars on the way after, putting together a couple of strong seasons like he did this year, and he'll for sure get a nice contract. You've got everything in front of you. Why do something so stupid like this? And it's so sad to see talented athletes like James Pierce Jr. that have been given out every opportunity, almost a kind of a second chance maybe from Atlanta to say, hey, we're still willing to commit to you and take you on to our team despite a lot of noise that's around you leading up into this draft process. And you can't make mistakes like these, let alone play fender bender with a vehicle and try to chase down just so wrong and so sad to see. What'd you make of the story when you saw it go down this weekend? And now knowing that a minimum of 5 years is on the table, it just is so sad.
Yeah, you're a loss of words. A guy that played here at your university you support and things like that, and a lot of people support him because you hear about the off the field stuff that he dealt with while he was here, and things like that. But this is even another level from that. This is, to see him get this angry and this mad that he uses his car, he hits police officers. He's lucky it didn't end up worse than being arrested, because we do see terrible stories in that with other things involved with police and things like that. So it's just a sad story. It involves, Rakia Jackson, who's was a very good basketball player here just last year. So everybody's still familiar with her. And she just, she was trying to protect herself. She blocked his number. He ended up getting another phone and texting her from that phone. So it's just a sad story. And honestly, this is bigger than football. And honestly, what he did deserves prison time. Flat out. It does. I don't care who you are.
Most definitely.
Nobody's above the law. And considering 5 felony offenses that he committed, this is going to be, and frankly, I'll be more pissed off at a judge for letting him off. Because he is James Pierce Jr.
It's dangerous
it's
too.
Dangerous
as can be, and he could have gotten himself seriously hurt with the type of activity. Can't do that.
He ran his car at a police officer. That was holding a weapon. That could have easily been used. So I applaud the police for not taking extreme measures, because they could easily have done that, and we could be having an even sadder story than we already are. But this is just a tough look for him. It rubs off on Tennessee in a bad light,
for sure.
And it makes the Falcons look bad as well. A team, like you said, took a chance. I think they might even traded back into the first round.
They traded up to get him.
To get you in the first round, and you rewarded them by having an unbelievable season. And like you said, this is just an unbelievable sad story. Because this guy was on his way of getting a big contract.
Exactly.
So this is just, any word you want to use is appropriate in this situation.
It's never that serious.
We don't want to talk about stories like this either.
No, it's never that serious, and there are ways to handle conflict, and the way in which that Pierce went about it is most certainly not the right way. Could have gotten himself seriously injured, could have injured many other people as well. And again, a bad look for University of Tennessee, a kid that was a great player here. And you want to cheer him on and support him after his time in Knoxville. And unfortunately, he made a number of bad decisions. And at the time being, not much else we can say about it. But we didn't touch on it yesterday. Wanted to at least give some sort of opinion on it. But when we come back, we'll switch to more positive news, or what we are hoping will be positive news later this week, as we are patiently waiting Joey Aguilar in his ruling, and we'll also talk the NFL. Who are the top 10 quarterbacks heading into next season, as we are now officially putting a bow on this past year. So we'll break it all down on the other side. Stay right here. It's the Playbook, live from Smoky Mountain Brewery in Turkey Creek on Fan Run Radio.
Follow us on Twitter or X or whatever the they're calling it these days at Fox Sports Knox. Fox Sports Knoxville. Fan Run Radio.
Hey Knoxville, Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka made with real brewed tea is only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar, with no bubbles and no troubles. That's right, zero carbonation, so it's easy to sip and enjoy. Headed to a game day or party at a friend's house? Bring an iced tea or lemonade variety pack from Surfside, or try their green tea and new raspberry tea vodka. Find the can with the sunset stripes this season. Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka, sold at bars, restaurants, and stores near you. Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka, sunshine in a can. Must be 21 or older. Enjoy responsibly.
Running a business, coaching a team, planning your next big event, you need more than just gear. You need SM Athletics and Logo Solutions. Custom uniforms, branded apparel, promotional products, done right, done fast, and built to show off your brand with pride. From local businesses to high schools to major universities, SM Athletics is trusted by winners. Get real service, get real quality, get noticed. SM Athletics and Logo Solutions, where your brand comes to life.
Visit smathletics.com and let's build something great together.
When Rocky Top hit rock bottom,
multiple reports now that UT is in the process of hiring Greg Schiano as its next football coach.
A fan base's livelihood flashed before its eyes.
I mean, if there's anything inside you that still cares about the university, get down to campus right now and make your voice heard.
And then we said enough is enough.
John Reed is on the steps of the training center and he's rallying the troops with a bullhorn.
Hell no, CNO! Hell no, CNO!
From the ashes, we rose up, the fan base that started a revolution and the station that led the charge.
Getting reports from within the athletic department that the deal is off. Pretty connected guy saying the deal is off. That was a direct quote.
When the time came, you were ready.
We are starting a revolution that says we're not going to take this shit from you anymore.
For the fans that refuse to settle.
We have successfully shut this down today.
This is Fox Sports Knoxville.
We are the caretakers now.
Fan Run Radio.
Welcome to Axle Logistics, where excellence isn't just a goal, it's an energy. As a leading third-party logistics company, Axle is powered by an award-winning culture built on a work-hard, play-hard mentality. Here, the drive for success is contagious and hard work never goes unnoticed. Whether you're just starting out or looking to level up, Axle Logistics is the place to launch your career. Join us and take your ambition to the stars. To learn more, visit axlelogistics.com.
Here we go. Hour number 2 on a Tuesday live from Smoky Mountain Brewery in Turkey Creek. It's the Playbook live on Fan Run Radio. With Brett Hollander, Walker Smith, and Will Palumbo, I'm William Pattison. We appreciate you listening along with us on this fine Tuesday. Great stuff in hour number 1. We'll continue it here in hour number 2 as we discuss the future of Joey Aguilar. The decision in his ruling for eligibility expected to be made this Friday. We'll talk about how Charles Bediako, Alabama's forward that has made headlines over the last 2 to 3 weeks, how his ruling of being ineligible could possibly affect Joey. And also, if Aguilar is not ruled eligible, will it change your point of view of how Tennessee attacked the transfer portal? We'll talk that a little bit later on. Boarding the offseason plane, the Super Bowl wrapped up the 2025-26 season, but that doesn't mean we can't start looking ahead to those top 10 quarterbacks heading into next season. Who's flying first class to Cancun into the offseason? We'll break that down. We'll wrap it up with our final thoughts. So happy you're here with us on this fine Tuesday. Once again, thank you to the folks at Smoky Mountain Brewery for having us once again. Always enjoy coming out here doing a remote show.
Yep.
Great food, great service, great cold drinks, plenty of TVs. Where would you rather be than Smoky Mountain Brewery? Let's get back into the action. Patiently waiting is what I have titled this one, as Tennessee quarterback Joey Aguilar has filed a lawsuit against the NCAA and Knox County Court seeking to extend his eligibility and play for the Vols in the 2026 season. And on February 2nd, Knox News obtained the complaint filed in Knox County Court, saying, quote, after a breakout season as the Volunteers quarterback in 2025, the NCAA is blocking Aguilar from playing a fourth year of Division I football, depriving Tennessee of a gifted quarterback and robbing Aguilar of millions in compensation. And that's what the complaint for Aguilar says. And Joey is a 24-year-old from Antioch, California. He was initially granted a temporary restraining order against the NCAA, where rules say he has exhausted his eligibility. But ultimately, he wants an injunction, a permanent injunction, that would allow him to play for the 2026 football season. And it could have a huge impact on where this team goes, folks. In 2025, Aguilar led the SEC with 3,565 yards passing, which was the third most in a single season by a UT quarterback. And he also carried that along with 24 touchdown passes. If he returned in 2026, he would be Tennessee's starter, and things would look a lot differently than what they currently project to be with a 17-year-old or 18-year-old at quarterback. But as we're 3 days away, what's the current vibe? What's the confidence level that Joey is to return? And I had a couple of people asking me about this last night, so I was like, you know what? Might as well put this on the show today because it might be a question many people have. What's the confidence level for William Pattison? 75%. I feel good about this.
You haven't changed.
I feel good about this.
Okay. That's why.
I haven't changed because, first off, Charles Bediako, we'll talk more about how it affects Aguilar here in a moment, but Bediako's in a different scenario here. Bediako was a kid that went and played in the NBA's, hadn't played college athletics for multiple seasons and returned to college basketball. That doesn't add up. Joey Aguilar has not played in the NFL. He hadn't been on a practice squad. He hadn't been in the CFL. He hadn't played in the Arena Football League. It's not like he's coming back from somewhere. And when you look at it, Diego Pavia last year was given an extra year of eligibility so that he could play up to 4 years of Division I college football. If Diego Pavia got that type of ruling, then Joey Aguilar should have the same opportunity as well. Whether you like the ethicalness of it, whether you agree with it morally, if a guy that just went to the Heisman Trophy ceremony as a finalist this past year because he was allowed to play an extra season, then so should Joey Aguilar. He's only played 2 years at Appalachian State. Obviously, last year played for Tennessee. He's only played 3 years of Division I FBS football, folks. So,
but he's played JUCO, right?
But he's played JUCO, sure. But so did Diego Pavia, and we got to see Diego Pavia for 4 seasons, 2 at New Mexico State, 2 at Vanderbilt. So if it happened last year, and we just watched the guy make it to the Heisman Trophy ceremony off an extra year of eligibility, then that's an example to use in court of, hey, if you allow this guy to do it, then why is there an issue with me doing the same thing? And again, Bediako doesn't move the needle for me. Whatever his ruling was I didn't care because it's not the same situation. It's not like Joey's been gone from college football for multiple seasons and decided to come back. So I remain confident. I'm 75% right now that he is able to return. There's a reason why you're taking this head on. Originally, he was a part of that case of 25 other players. Everyone in that room has got a different reason of why they're there, right? You might as well attack this thing head on, and that's what Joey Aguilar is doing. He's got a great lawyer, a guy that represented the president back in 2022. Let's make Joey Aguilar the president of Knoxville if he's able to return, right? It's that big of a deal if he's able to return in my eyes, and there's a reason why you're moving this to Knoxville in your backyard and taking this one-on-one with a really good lawyer team. I'm unwavered. I'm still at 75%. I don't care what went down.
So why do you have reservations though? Why is it not 100%?
Well, because at the end of the day,
because you talk pretty confidently.
Yeah.
You talk like a guy that's 100%.
No, yeah. The reason why I've got to have that 25% in there because I'm not the judge. I'm not the guy in that courtroom. At the end of the day, the only person that knows what's going to happen and will know what his decision is and what Aguilar's fate is the judge. And I'm not that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I can have the confidence that he's coming back and say, here's my own case. Here's what I'm laying out. And from people I talk to, it seems to be everyone's pretty comfortable with it. There's not a whole lot of worry at the moment. I think you got to be confident going into something like this. I mean, if you're taking this thing to court, you feel like you have a good enough case to get an extra year.
And then, of course, they granted a TRO, which is the first step. So that makes you a little more confident as well because, that increased our expectations that, hey, maybe he will get this injunction from the judge. This changes me a little bit. He's technically played out, I guess, with JUCO because JUCO is supposed to count. It is. And, the only argument we have is, you let Bobby play, we should be able to play too. What other facts are you presenting to them that says he should be allowed to play? There's a reason why he's having to go to the judge to try and play more football.
Sure.
Because clearly the rule states that you're out of eligibility. You're coming to me because you want another year of eligibility. Yeah. So again, that's why you're fighting. I realize the Bediako thing is it's handwritten that he shouldn't be able to play at all. Once you say you're leaving, you're done. You got to be done.
Yeah.
So I agree to that extent. It does though. The NCAA seems like all of a sudden, I don't know where they've grown a pair. The Sankey side of things worries me a little bit because does Sankey come out and sign another affidavit supporting the NCAA as he did for the Bediako case against the Trinidad, against Aguilar, So that's the other angle to this. Where does Sankey stand on this? Because he could have a lot of say in this. So I think I've gone back a little bit. I was with you, 75, 80% and I think mine changed more so when Sankey came in.
Okay.
If Sankey comes in, because he came in the day of or day before the Bediako case last week and said, I support the NCAA. This is against the rules, so I think I'm more like 55% now on Joey Aguilar coming back to play football for the University of Tennessee.
Good comment on the YouTube chat. Buck goes, who's paying the court costs? Danny Upcharge? I like that. Look, I understand it's tough to have a firm grasp. And honestly, my 75% is just my confidence in that he has a good enough case, right?
Yeah.
But again, we're not the judge. We're not the ones making the decision. We can't predict what one will do. But if it were up to me, I'd give him an extra year. And I wouldn't want to be that judge from Knoxville that went to UT.
That's the other thing. That's the other angle in this thing. People are going to put that 2 and 2 together. Oh, he's got to be a donor. He's a graduate. He's a judge. He talks to Heupel and Danny White. He's got to. So that makes it interesting in this case too.
I do want to say one thing though, because I know that is something that other opposing fan bases will bring up and such, and maybe even Tennessee fans.
We saw a judge get recruits because of it.
Yes, but my understanding is that he might be a former University of Tennessee student and a graduate of Tennessee, but in terms of his practice, he's got to maintain the integrity that he has in every court case, whether it's Joey Aguilar or whether it's Joey Bob on the
absolutely.
So I don't think there's going to be any foul play in terms of that. I don't think he'll be recused. I think it was different in the Bediako case because it was basically like, hey, we got to get this guy in court. Can you whip something up for us? That was a little bit more deliberate. This is more, okay, we got a date. This is when we're doing it. And this is, I think it was a little bit more of a impromptu practice with the Alabama booster judge. But going to if Aguilar is not able to play, and we've had a lot of these conversations, but if Aguilar is not ruled eligible, will it change your viewpoint on the transfer portal class, on the approach you had in the portal? You went after a Ty Simpson who ended up going to the NFL draft.
Right.
You went after a Sam Levitt. That was pretty well documented here. Mm-hmm. And then, you're kind of in the mix for some of these other lower tier guys early on. I remember, receiving text about, hey, maybe Eastern Carolina's quarterback and what's his name? Cajun Hauser.
Yeah.
Began his career at Michigan State and is now headed to Illinois. But like you were kind of in the realm of those guys. And a lot of people on the YouTube chat about a month ago were talking about Colton Josephs. You also were intrigued by Brendan Sorsby, kind of neck and neck with him. He ends up going to Texas Tech. So it was basically you swung for the fences and you struck out. But you have an opportunity to take this thing to an umpire review and get one of those strikes revoked and get a Joey Aguilar. But in terms of the approach, I think it was pretty cut and clear. You needed to get better defensively. I thought Tennessee did that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty cut and clear that you needed to get a backup running back to go alongside Deshaun Bishop. You did that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was pretty cut and clear. You needed to know what you were going to do at quarterback. And I don't think that was executed correctly. But if Aguilar is able to come back, I'm head over heels for it. I think
you said we're a playoff team.
I think it makes Tennessee a college football playoff team.
Yeah. That's a huge jump because I know you've been on record saying George Mack is the quarterback. You're looking at 6-6, 7-5. So you're telling me this is such a big impact. You're getting 4 more wins out of a guy that we didn't see beat a team with a winning record last year.
I do.
When the schedule looks tougher, and you're banking on our defense, which I think will improve. But you're talking about you need to drop it. And I think I asked you the question: how much do you think our defense gives up next year?
Sure.
You said 24 to 27 points. That's no gimme.
But
our offense is just going to, score 35, 40 points a game again.
But you got to look at the type of offenses you're projected to go up against, right? Texas is going to have a really strong group. So, like that defensive projection of 24 to 27 points was involving those high,
right?
Those highly rated offensive teams.
Fair.
That's going to give an influx to that. But I do believe that this is a 2 to 3 win difference because
that's huge.
But I look again. I look at across the country who wins right now in college football. It's older quarterbacks. It's a fourth year Fernando Mendoza. It's a 6th year Carson Beck. It's a 6th year Trinidad Chambliss. Experienced guys that have seen a ton of defenses throughout their career, are unfazed in big moments. They're adults. George McIntyre and Faison Brandon are both 17, 18-year-old kids. I wouldn't have been ready to go out onto a championship scene at 17 and 18. I don't know if I'd be able to do it now.
Right.
But 24, 25 years old, you're more mature. You've seen a ton of different defenses. You've seen it all. I just think experience wins. And when you look at these highly rated quarterbacks that have decided to become a right-away starter instead of waiting their turn, track record's not great.
Yeah.
Track record's not great. Dylan Raiola was the number 1 quarterback 2 or 3 years ago and didn't beat a ranked team at Nebraska in 2 seasons.
He made the wrong decision, though.
Well,
I think that.
But again,
because you're going to see him. He's going to go to another level when he gets to a better team, better coach, things like that.
But why? Because the experience is going to be there, though. Because, again, I think it's so valuable because a lot of these kids just want to hop into a team and say, all right, I'm your starter right away. They want to play right away. I don't think that helps them long term. I think for Tennessee fans, they should be excited that George McIntyre isn't going to be thrown into the wolves this year.
I don't know.
But look, let's say it doesn't go his way. That rattles a kid's confidence immediately. 18 years old, boom. Now you start rethinking your throws. Now you start rethinking your process. And if you really believe he has a high ceiling, then you give him another year to get stronger, another year to be inside the system and learn from the coaching staff and watch an older player that's done it and seen it all before. I think if I'm a Tennessee fan, I'm more excited for him sitting out this season because he's going to get more experience. And Faison Brandon the same way. I know it's natural for everyone to want to see the 4 or 5 star player.
Yeah.
But that's a 4 or 5 star evaluation based on what he will be, not what he is, right? So give the guy the time. And I look at Dante Moore as a prime example of a guy that started right away at UCLA, was an absolute disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. UCLA doesn't have the same the same supporting cast as a Tennessee does in terms of personnel, but still way over his skis. Was not a good football player.
But was he better for it? when he got to
But
this new environment.
He was better for it because he went to Oregon and sat out a season and realized, hey, just because I'm a 5-star doesn't mean I need to play right away. I need to be developed. And 2 seasons of getting developed turned into a number 2 pick in the draft if he decided to go this year. I think there's a lot of value in taking your time, waiting for the moment. Bryce Underwood, number 1 player in the class this past year, didn't beat a good team this season, you know. And against
but again, are they better for it?
But
is he going to be better this year?
But again,
there's no guarantee.
Are you better for it? I think is a question that you have to figure out what you want for this season. My expectation at the University of Tennessee, and I think a lot of people in that program and in that building, the expectation is to win national championships, to compete for those. Are you better off for it by going, 6 wins, 7 wins this year? Josh Heupel, you said, is on the hot seat,
What's
right?
the difference in 7-5 with George Mack and 8-4 with Aguilar? Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing, sure. But I project you'll be better than 8-4 with Aguilar.
I don't see that because you also mentioned Mendoza, Gunnar Stockton, some of these guys. You know what else he got? Great head football coaches. I don't know if we have that. I don't know if we have the right guy to get it done. You know me? He's on the hot seat for me. He's he's on an even hotter seat if he runs Joey Aguilar out there and has a bad season. Or so your expectations as a Tennessee, if he doesn't meet those expectations, what does that mean for Heupel in your eyes?
Then
and he sits at 8-4. That's and you lay a dud again in a bowl game. Like you paid a lot of money to go get Knowles. You took a guy from Indiana and Owings. I mean, you're getting the staff together, but at the end of the day, you're the head football coach. You're in charge of this football team. You're supposed to get these wins and things like that. So this Aguilar news, if it goes through and he's there, Heupel's on the even hotter seat.
Well, look, McIntyre is still going to have an opportunity to play, by the way. So even if he sits out this season, he's got 3 years of eligibility remaining.
But people are still going to say, oh, he hasn't played. We're going to go 6-6. He hasn't played. He hasn't had the experience. Just because you sit for 2 years, you've gained 0 experience playing the actual game of football.
Well, I mean, he'll be your backup quarterback.
And I don't even think it'll be him in 2 years. I think it's Faison. Faison sits this year.
But again, whether you believe it's Faison or George McIntyre.
Because I know I would want Faison.
Well, let those guys battle it out and heading into 2027. I don't know why.
So you're not going to want a transfer quarterback. If Aguilar's your guy this year, you're not going to want to be like, oh, so-and-so hits the portal, Lagway enters again, or whoever you want to throw out there for next year's class. So you're going to be satisfied with a McIntyre
because you've got your guy.
Okay.
You've got your guy, and you've got 2 quarterbacks that at that point I think will be capable of winning the starting job, and the guy that takes it is your guy. And then, you can worry about who enters the portal the next offseason, whatever, but at least you found your guy. You recruited 2 highly recruited players, and you give them a chance to both have the opportunity to be involved in the practices, be involved in the training facility for at least a season in Faison's case, for McIntyre too. And then you say, all right, guys, you've been given the opportunity to grow up. Now go take the job, and the winner of that job will be your starting quarterback in 2027. I really don't think that's a bad plan. I think that's best for both the kids.
Nico didn't have the best first season when he was here. He did enough. One football did a really good defense. Was Nico going to be able to go to that next level, you think, the next year? Or should he have sat out again and would have been even better? I mean, we won't know, but I'm just trying to, people want to throw the comparison of Nico out there and George, 5-star, highly rated kids. You threw Nico out in the mix, and maybe it was at a time when you weren't necessarily to the point where you felt like you needed a transfer quarterback as much. But, people want to throw that comparison out there, and I don't know. I don't know how to feel if Aguilar comes back or not. The schedule's still brutal.
Yeah.
And there's just they're still unknown. You have good football players on paper right now. How good are they really going to be in a system when Jim Knowles notoriously starts slow as a defensive coordinator? And you can't start slow. You're playing really good offenses right off the bat with Texas and Auburn in SEC play.
Well, I think the thing with Knowles that you feel a little bit more comfortable with is the fact that you have Amari Campbell, and Chaz Coleman, DeJuan Lane, and Xavier Gilliam, guys that already have experience there. And Amari Campbell was the coach to player helmet-to-helmet communication last season for the Nittany Lions, and that helps out. And then you've also got, like an Arian Carter, who was a team leader this past year that can work one-on-one with an Amari Campbell and help communicate. But again, I think the defense is much better on paper than it was last year.
Yes.
Whether you believe they're going to be better or not, on paper, these guys are more established than what you had.
But we thought we had a good defense coming into this season, and they were absolutely dreadful.
Well, I think you had a good defense if Jeremiah McCoy was able to play and Ricky Gibson, because that was obviously a huge issue. The second and third level tackling allowed for a lot of plays, right?
Yeah.
And those DBs and McCoy and Gibson are what help you get to the quarterback a little bit quicker because they buy you more time. So, look, obviously that's an if, of a could, a shoulda, woulda, whatever. But I think now when you look at least just this current group on paper, they're better.
Yes.
And I think the defense will help a Joey Aguilar out this season as opposed to last year where it hit him in the, it did not help him.
Aguilar wasn't healthy, right? Like, that's the word. We don't know when he got hurt, but he was hurt. He was playing hurt and things like that. So I think this whole thing could have been solved if maybe you just played George in that bowl game. Like, that's what it's there for.
But here's the thing
it got you nowhere to do that, especially because you didn't even at that time, I don't think there was any thought of Joey coming back. I don't think we were really talking. We knew there was an outside chance, but was he going to pursue that? And so, like, that was an opportunity. And then when you hear he's hurt, and things. I know you want to win football games. You have that sour taste coming out of your mouth out of Vandy, but then you made it worse by losing the bowl game. So I think, you'd feel a little different. That's what the bowl game's for. And maybe you get to do it this year. I don't know.
Well, in October, I was told that Joey was going to try and come back and get an extra year. So I'd always known in the back of my head that there was an opportunity for him to be your starter once again. So the bowl game was what it was.
Right,
Obviously, you'd like to use that as an opportunity to see what young guys look like. But again, with GMAC, a lot of people want to see him play, but is it unfair to him to throw him out there and have these lofty expectations of, okay, you're a 4 or 5 star player? What if he's not ready and you throw him out there and he screws the pooch? Then a lot of people are going to be bought out on him. They're saying, well, we missed on him. Like, I think that puts him in an unfair position to where people right now are saying, yeah, take the nicks and bruises that you're going to, you'll take that. But what happens at the end of the season when you're like, that guy's not a good quarterback or wasn't good this year, and then you rule him out? That's why, again, I think it's important for these guys to just get a little bit older, have another season of being in those quarterback rooms, learning defenses, learning from Joey's mistakes. I think, Joey's not a perfect player. There's no perfect player.
Yeah.
But when you're sitting in those rooms watching the film, you're getting smarter as well. You're figuring out, okay, well, if it's a cover 2 here, I can't make this play. But if the safety drops down, learning, I think, is big. And does a year of experience and a locker room and the film room and the training room, does that make you ready for the next season? And that would be this year. I don't believe so. And again, that's why I look at older quarterbacks. They've seen it all. They've experienced it all. They've been in high-level moments. And those are the most prepared players to take you to a national championship. And whether Joey Aguilar has done that on this stage yet, he was the SEC's passing leader.
You think he can be better this coming season?
I think he can be better.
Okay.
Because keep in mind, folks, he got on campus on the 31st of May and started playing for a new team. That's a tough transition too.
Yeah.
So, this will always be a fun topic of conversation, but ultimately we'll know Joey Aguilar's fate this Friday, or what we hope we will.
We'll
know.
at least have the hearing. I doubt we'll hear something Friday.
Yeah.
It'll probably
we'll have the hearing. Might be
a couple of days.
Yeah. So the hearing is this Friday. We hope to have an answer, but it could be until next week. But regardless, big week for Joey Aguilar, big week for Vol Nation as we're all patiently waiting. Yep. When we come back, we'll talk NFL quarterbacks. Who's boarding the off-season first-class plane? We'll break it down when we return right here on the Playbook live from Smoky Mountain Brewery in Turkey Creek on Fan Run Radio.
For the fans, by the fans. This is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Yeah, it's another day, but what kind of day is it really? A day of doom scrolling? Laundry day? Nah, it's a White Claw day. Light and refreshing tasting, uniquely cold way filtered. There's an iconic flavor for everyone. So grab a pack, grab your friends. Make the most of each day with those who matter most. When you're together with White Claw, every day is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You just gotta grab it. White Claw. Grab life by the claw. Please drink responsibly. Hard seltzer with flavors. White Claw Seltzer Works, Chicago, Illinois.
Fall fans, reimagine your home at Broadway Carpets and Flooring for any remodeling or building needs. With a variety of carpets, rugs, hardwood, vinyl, and stone, Broadway has all the flooring and installation options you're looking for, including pet-resistant products like Pet Perfect Carpet from Shaw Floors. Visit their showroom in downtown Knoxville or the location in West Knoxville located on Kingston Pike near Pellissippi Parkway today.
We really need to get some branded stuff. Shirts, hats, promo items, something professional.
I mean, we could just find a website and order a bunch of it ourselves.
You could, but you're taking a big risk. You don't know the quality, the fit, the timeline. It's a roll of the dice.
Yeah, I guess, but isn't that how everyone does it now?
Not the ones who actually care about how their brand looks. Look, if we're putting our name on it, it needs to be done right. We need SM Athletics.
SM Athletics?
Yeah, they specialize in working with businesses like ours. Apparel, hats, promo gear, but real, customized stuff. They actually care if it turns out right.
Probably a lot better than getting stuck with 100 t-shirts with crooked logos.
Exactly. Plus, they'll walk you through everything. Sizing, colors, material, so it matches the image we're trying to build.
Makes sense. What's the name again?
SM Athletics. Trust me, if you want to look like a real company, not a flea market stand, this is the move. If you're serious about your brand, work with people who are serious about getting it right. SM Athletics.
A brand built in Tennessee and born from the love of the game. Inward Half revolutionizes golfing comfort. Crafted by a former pro and dedicated enthusiast just like you, our luxury performance wear guarantees you stay cool and comfortable through every swing and every day. We're not just a brand. We've set out to create a lifestyle for those who understand that impeccable style and premium performance are a hole-in-one. Enjoy the walk-in with Inward Half.
Hey, Vols fans, Cody Brown here. I grew up right here in Tennessee and know what it means when someone says, I've got your back. That's why you can trust Farm Bureau Insurance of Tennessee. Whether it's your home, your vehicle, your family's future, or the business you built from the ground up, we will show up for all of your insurance needs. We are Tennesseans who understand what matters, which is doing right by you. Insurance is not all about just paperwork and policies, but it's about the people we insure every day. So if you want insurance that hits home, give me a call at 865-992-3871. Go Vols.
All right, back here on the Playbook, presented by Smoky Mountain Brewery today. That's where we're on the scene at, and always enjoy coming here. Great hospitality, great food, great environment. The place to be, Smoky Mountain Brewery. Always appreciate them having us.
Yes, sir.
We'll switch now to the NFL. We did a lot of talking about quarterbacks for Tennessee football. Now we'll bridge over to the NFL. Maybe this will be less controversial for our YouTube chat, or maybe it might be even more controversial as we're ranking who's making an appearance on the first class to Cancun, is what I'm calling it, as the 2025-26 NFL season wrapped up in underwhelming fashion on Sunday with the Seahawks defense pummeling that Patriots offense to win Super Bowl 60. And with the season now officially in the books, players are packing their bags and headed to Cancun or Maldives or the Virgin Islands, wherever they're choosing. But where are they sitting on that plane heading into the new year before they can enjoy an offseason of relaxation? As they board the plane, we're going to be punching their ticket. We're going to tell them, are they first class? And we've got 10 first-class quarterbacks. So the way we'll do it, it doesn't have to be in necessarily any order.
Right.
I've got mine in order if you want to do it. But the top 10 quarterbacks heading into the new season, let's discuss it. At number 10, I've got Justin Herbert for the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, I really liked what I saw from Herbert early in the season. I thought it was potentially kind of a turnaround year or kind of that first big boom year. We've seen some good from him in years past.
Yeah.
But it's never been to the level of, okay, This is a guy playing at the top of his game consistently over a course of the season and can lead this team to a couple of playoff wins. When he gets towards the latter part of the season, he starts to kind of break down a little bit, but he still had a really strong start to the year. I like what you get with him.
He's a battler.
But he's not a guy I necessarily trust in the postseason at the moment, and that's why he's number 10. At number 9, really excited to punch this ticket. Punching Trevor Lawrence, a.k.a. The Prince, a.k.a. Jacksonville Jesus, a.k.a. T-Law, Duval, T-Law, whatever you want to call it. Trevor Lawrence at number 9. It felt like this was the year he hit. Now, I talk about
it was a hit.
Justin Herbert and how he was great in the beginning of the season. Not as great in the second half. That's kind of the polar opposite for Trevor Lawrence. A tough start to the season, trying to figure out Liam Cohen's new offense. A lot of checks at the line of scrimmage. Over the year, he got much better with making those checks. At the beginning of the season, it was 4 to 3 seconds left on the play clock. By the end of the season, it was 15, 14. He was much more in control. And in the final, 8 games of the season, over 1,700 yards passing, 19 touchdowns, limited his turnovers. A big reason why the Jags were back in the postseason this year, and I love the connection he has with Liam Cohen. And then you've also got your coordinators coming back, which is really, really key. And Udinsky, who's sticking around, going to work with Trevor for another year. I think he's going to continue on this trajectory. He's at number 9. Next up, Jordan Love from the Packers. Played clean football this season. Really low on the turnover percentage. And the interceptions was a big fix for him this season. Now, the Packers had a ton of injuries across their receiving core. But Jordan Love continues to be a top 10 guy in my eyes. He takes care of the football. He can make some big plays. I think about the receiving issues he had this season in terms of availability as a reason to why the Packers might not have been able to reach their heights as a team. But Jordan Love firmly in that top 10. Next up is Drake May. Now, this is an interesting one because if you watch Sunday's game, you're saying, how the hell is Drake May top 10? Or even the postseason as well. But here's what I look at: the main difference between the regular season and the postseason. Regular season, this guy was an MVP candidate, and in the postseason, you go up against some really good defenses,
the best in the league, probably.
But I thought the timing that he had in the regular season as opposed to the postseason was much different, and it threw him for a loop. If we're really critiquing one player, it should be a Will Campbell, who continued to allow pressure after pressure after pressure all postseason long. The guy had an average of 11% in the regular season. In the postseason, it was 17%, 15%, 14%, 18% pressure rates. So he faced better teams, faced better defenses, but his offensive line let him down, did not give him the opportunity that he had in the regular season. He still had an MVP type year. He's top 10 for me. Now, these next 2 guys are interesting because both of them are in the same division. We've seen them at their best, what they can be, but we've also seen a couple of disappointing years. Lamar Jackson, injury history this year. We punched his ticket onto the first class, but at his best, he's still one of the most difficult quarterbacks to defend, one of the best dual threat guys we've ever seen in the league, multi-time MVP. He still firmly belongs in the top 10. And then right ahead of him is Joe Burrow from the Bengals. And I look at this as more of a quarterback that's in a bad situation. I don't like the Bengals coaching staff. I think Zach Taylor is not a head coach. Their defense is awful. Their offense, obviously, they put a lot of money into, and that's why that defense is so bad. But Joe Burrow is still a quarterback that took his team to the Super Bowl and is still still a quarterback that can sling it with the best and is most definitely still one of the best guys in the league despite his injury history. Still a guy that can deliver. It just would help if he had a better cast around him. So before we get into my top, I guess Burrow's at 5 technically, but we'll go down the list and we'll be a little bit quicker. Herbert for the Chargers, Lawrence for the Jags, Love with the Packers, May with the Patriots, Jackson with the Ravens, Burrow with the Bengals. Next up, Dak Prescott with the Cowboys. Star on his helmet. He's always going to have the microscope on him. But this is another team that had a really bad defense this season. And Dak Prescott willed this group offensively to stay competitive in games. And I still think he's one of the best in the league. I think he's overhated. He's a good dude. And he continues to be a really good quarterback in the regular season. I don't love him in the postseason, but my golly, he can sling it with the best still. Then we go to Matthew Stafford, the unction. Or is it the unction? Because the guy still plays like he's in college.
MVP, maybe.
Having, the frat parties like he did at Georgia. You couldn't tell with the gray hair if this guy was 20 or this guy was, in his late 30s, because that's how impressive he was once again this season. MVP, most certainly a top 3 guy right now. Mahomes is at 2 because of that injury he's coming off of. Mm-hmm. Obviously, a disappointing season for the Chiefs.
Yeah, we're in the Super Bowl. We're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
First time ever
It
for
would become
Mahomes.
so accustomed to them being in the Super Bowl. Didn't even make the postseason this year. But Mahomes at 2 for me right now because of that injury. But Josh Allen had an incredible season once again this year. He takes the cake for me heading into the new year. Pretty self-explanatory for those top guys. But real quick, Josh Allen at 1, Mahomes at 2, Stafford 3, Prescott 4, Burrow 5, Jackson 6, May 7, Love 8, T-Law, Trevor Lawrence, Jacksonville Jesus at 9, Justin Herbert, Chargers 10.
Jesus is usually number 1 on lists, right? But
number 1 in my heart, but
that's right.
But I have to be fair. I have to be transparent, and I still think he's a top 10 guy though. But
I mean, I can't. There's not many arguments I can have on your list. I mean, I do think I would take Jordan Love out and put Sam Darnold in.
Okay.
I think he's got 28 wins his last 2 seasons. You see what he can do with a competent football coach. I think what he's done to resurrect his career is admirable. He could have easily walked away, and he was given an opportunity, and he's a defending Super Bowl champ. I thought he played unbelievable in the playoffs. His turnovers you would like to see go down, but I think you got to give respect where respect is due today. And I mean, I would either have to take Love off or like a Dak Prescott. But again,
Dak Prescott out of the top 10.
Maybe, yeah. You got to put Sam Darnold in there wherever you think fitting. I think he deserves that much, especially the last 2 years he's played. And then the only other, I think that's about the only other name I could see that needs to be in the top 10. If you want to argue Caleb Williams with me, I think his future's pretty bright. I like the way he played this year under Ben Johnson. Goff would have probably been on there going into last season, but struggled mightily this year and stuff like that. So I think ultimately, the only other one I would have on there is, Sam Darnold. I think you'd have to find a spot. And I think Jordan Love would have to come off the list for me out of the top 10.
Here's my thing with Darnold. Where do you stand on Jalen Hurts?
I think he's a product of a really good football team. I don't think he's as good as quarterback as some of these other guys.
Would you not?
He doesn't elevate the team. Darnold elevates.
Does Darnold elevate, or do those around Darnold elevate him?
Well, I mean, you can argue both ways on that. Is JSN as good as a receiver without Darnold throwing the ball? Is he the offensive player of the year? He's a really good football player. He's a really good receiver. But somebody, as you want to say, always has to throw you the football. Mm-hmm. And he made good plays. The scheme was great with Clint Kubiak, so we'll see how he adjusts to that. But I thought, you see what Geno Smith did with the team. They were a good football team. I think they made the playoffs. But then Darnold took them to another 4 games higher, tougher division, and things like that. So I've got to put Darnold in that list for me.
The reason why I can't put Darnold
or Herbert. If you want to put him against Herbert, you can.
Yeah, but I think Herbert in terms of what my thing with Darnold is I look at that defense throughout this season, one of the best in the league, the best defense.
No argument, yeah.
And gave them a lot of opportunities to simply outscore a team because
Drake may not make the Super Bowl without his defense.
No, I totally agree. But I'm not debating that. What I'm saying is I thought May was more consistent in the regular season than Darnold was. Darnold started the year off great.
If you switch Darnold and May, is it the same situation? Because I saw Drake May play against good defenses and he struggled mightily. Mm-hmm. He had the benefit of a last play schedule, easy schedule, whatever you want to call it. And there's an argument. He beat the teams he could only play against,
Sure.
things like that. Put up impressive numbers, but then we saw when it got a little tougher, He's struggled.
Well, but again,
and Darnold went through the toughest division in football, a tougher conference too.
Mm-hmm. Again, my thing with Darnold and May, if you're just specifically
Darnold won the NFC Championship.
Sure, and if you're talking about the Super Bowl, though, right? The line of scrimmage was one-sided.
Absolutely, and we said that going in.
Yes. If May has a clean pocket and has the time that Darnold did, and the type of push and the run game that the Seahawks did, then I really think it'd be. I'd go with May.
Darnold wasn't that great,
but like
we just see that they won the game, but Darnold wasn't anything special in the Super Bowl, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Neither offense was that great outside of the running back. That was it.
No,
you know. So, but yeah, I mean, for the sake of argument, I decided to throw Darnold in. I think he deserves that. I mean, 20 wins in football are the most in football the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So he's the guy leading the charge. I mean, we're gonna knock a quarterback when they play bad. We got to give him credit when they play well.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what Darnold, in my mind, deserves that. And I think they'll be right there next year as well for the Super Bowl title.
Will, back at the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios, Will, what do you make of the list?
Don't say Bryce Young.
And I don't want to hear. Yeah, who did I leave out on my top 10? Will.
Well, Brett mentioned it. I just want to give Jared Goff some love. I mean,
no.
Trevor Lawrence, better completion percentage, 5 more touchdowns, and 4 less picks. But at the same time, I think that offensive line took a beating, and he definitely had more fumbles. But I think he definitely needs to be mentioned. And then I wanted to ask, are you worried about Mahomes coming back from injury?
You know, I think Mahomes is.
That's the biggest question going into next year.
Well, yeah, most definitely. I think there are a couple of different variables with the Chiefs. First off, the roster and they got
to do major fixing
and kind of pivoting the wave of Super Bowl runs they had to now the kind of the second leg. And the Patriots did that with Tom Brady, right? It took a minute. There were a couple of bad seasons, but they were able to pivot, and then they had that second breath. I think when you look at the Chiefs right now, they don't have a running back, so they're very one-dimensional. I like the receivers, but I think that they're lacking kind of that established
offensive line is terrible.
Yeah, but just looking, going back to receivers, I think they're missing the veteran established receiver that they had.
You don't count Kelsey?
Well, Kelsey at this point, I mean, like
he is what he is.
He is what he is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great name, but I don't look at him the same as I did, 3 to 4 years ago. I remember last season in the wild card game. I mean, he had a 20-yard advantage down the field, and he got caught up. And he's just not the same player. So
he was traveling too much with Taylor.
Hey, and good for him. Hey, he won his rings, and he got Taylor Swift. I think he's in
man of the year, right?
He's in a pretty good boat. But I think the Chiefs have to figure things out around Mahomes first. And then we're going to have to see what he looks like coming back from injury.
I think they're going to have a top 10 pick. When was the last time they had that? So
I'd take Jeremiah Love.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, our offensive lineman, whatever's there.
Yeah.
They just got to get younger, too, even both sides of the ball. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting season for the Chiefs.
Anything else to add, Will?
No, that was it. I agreed with most 10. I like to see her a lot in the 10 spot. I mean, that line, it was just absolutely brutal. He gets beat up and has to play himself. I like the Caleb Williams shout. No, I like the first person that he's maturing and make better decisions with the ball. Learn how to throw it away times. But I like it with you guys.
Well, there we go. Caleb Williams wouldn't be there for me, but
I think if Brock Purdy wasn't hurt, I think he could have an argument for top 10. I think he's. I'm looking at it right now. He's number 2 in QBR all season last year. So I'm a big fan of Shanahan. Anybody except Shanahan deserves the credit. So
any James Daniels love?
I mean, here's my thing with Daniels. Like you could have C.J. Stroud was really good his rookie year, right? And then we've seen what he looks like in the years to follow. I like Daniels a lot, but he's a little bit older.
He's not a top 10 quarterback right now.
No, he's not. No, he's not. But I still do like him.
Yes,
I still do like him.
We've got some good quarterbacks in this league.
Yeah,
there's tiers to it, but there's some of these rookies I think impressed as well.
Yeah,
so. We'll see what Mendoza will join this group next year if he does anything.
We'll see. That's a
tough spot to go to.
Tough spot to go to.
He gets Clint Kubiak.
Yeah.
Got Bowers. Got Genty.
Well, they need to overhaul. They need to bring in a new offensive line along with them, and we'll see. But
I don't know.
Well, that's our first-class quarterback plane ride that we're taking heading into the new season. Everyone packing their bags, headed to Cancun. We've punched 10 tickets. Those are the names. We got a couple of people on standby.
Okay.
Maybe looking for a ticket or a flyer.
Maybe they're just going to Allegiant somewhere
Okay.
warm.
Okay.
Yeah, they're having to fly Allegiant Air.
Yeah.
You can go direct to Vegas and Allegiant Air or Orlando. There's some nice places you can still go to.
Sure.
But just the elite of the league go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's flying Spirit this year? Who's the worst one?
Well, I upset Titans fan.
Cam Ward?
Gino, Tua.
Tua's fine. Tua's probably your Spirit.
Yeah, but Tua, any of those guys that had bad seasons, I guess you put on that flight.
Hell, CJ Stroud's on that path with the way he's been playing. But I'd say Tua would be the best Spirit Airlines guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, when we come back, we'll wrap things up live here at Turkey Creek, Smoky Mountain Brewery. Always appreciate them having us out here. We'll wrap things up when we return. It's the Playbook on Fan Run Radio.
Congratulations. You found sports radio that doesn't suck. This is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
At Knoxville Insurance Group, they understand the challenges many consumers face when searching for insurance coverage. That's why whether it's for you, your family, or your business, they create a coverage plan specifically for your unique needs. Knoxville Insurance Group is an independent firm, which means they aren't beholden to just one insurance company. They search multiple companies, acting as your negotiator to find you the best possible policy and price. Start a quote in minutes at KnoxvilleInsuranceGroup.com or call them today at 865-694-9788.
Smoky Mountain Brewery is the place to be for game day. From the moment you walk in, it's wall-to-wall big screens, making Smoky Mountain Brewery the perfect place to watch the Vols or your favorite team in action. With locations in Turkey Creek, Maryville, Pigeon Forge, and Gatlinburg, you're never far away from a great time at Smoky Mountain Brewery. Try one of their world-famous microbrews like Black Bear Ale, Mountain Light, or Cherokee Ale. Juicy burgers, wings that bring the heat, and delicious handmade pizzas made with hand-tossed crust from the freshest ingredients and their own special sauce from a secret recipe, topped off with hand-grated cheese and farm-fresh toppings. And don't forget, those famous microbrews are also available in kegs for your next party or in 6-packs and growlers to go. So grab your crew and head to Smoky Mountain Brewery and tell them Fan Run Radio sent you. Smoky Mountain Brewery. Eat local, eat good.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only.
That little black dress or your comfy winter coat, Crown Cleaners can make it happen. From stubborn stains to delicate fabrics, the expert team at Crown Cleaners uses the latest cleaning technology to ensure your clothes come back looking and feeling fresh. Visit one of their 2 area locations, Kingston Pike on Bearden Hill or South North Shore Drive near Dunkin' Donuts. Online at crowncleaners.com. Crown Cleaners, a tradition of excellence.
All right, wrapping things up on a Tuesday here from Smoky Mountain Brewery in Turkey Creek. Always enjoy coming out here. Great hospitality.
Yep.
Great crowd as well. Everyone kind of getting their bikes, their midday drinks in, and we're wrapping things up. Coming up next right here on Fan Run Radio, it's The Drive with Russell Smith, Bob Baskerville, the Bear, and Walker Smith. Rounding out your Tuesday here in K-Town. As always, appreciate Walker Smith back at the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios for making sure we come off over the air sounding good, connecting to the app, to the stream, all of that. We appreciate Walker and all of his time and effort every time we do one of these remotes. But a couple of minutes remaining. Final thoughts on this Tuesday. Wanted to ask about there's a former USC player now at Montana. Did you see
that
this?
9th year guy?
9th year of eligibility.
I just saw it not too long ago. So yeah, that's
9th
crazy.
year of eligibility, and now we've got a ninth year guy, we've got an 8th year guy, we've got a 7th year guy. There are multiple 7th year guys, but at some point, why are we allowing a guy to play a 9th year of eligibility, a 9th year of college football? The Owen Heineke kid at Oklahoma, is not allowed to get a 4th year of eligibility because they're counting his time at Ohio State lacrosse, in which he played 2 games.
That one's a sad one because his story's pretty. I remember reading his story, his background, and stuff like that. But that's a sad one because he's as fun as anybody to watch in college football last year.
An all SEC linebacker.
Yeah, he was all over the field against us. I remember him.
Yeah,
he was one you spoke of to watch in that game. And even in the playoff game against Bama, he was all over the place.
And it makes me mad because we're not letting a kid like that play because he played lacrosse for 2 games at Ohio State back in 2021. But we're going to allow a kid that has also been through a ton of hardships.
Yeah, reading here, he's injured redshirt, injured in 19,
he's got
injured in 20,
5
injured
medical
in
red
21.
shirts. 5 medical red shirts.
I mean, that's crazy.
Surgery after surgery after surgery. He's
injured again in 23, played 1 season in 22. Yeah, I mean, he's got a legit story, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, but look, and the Mohamed Torre,
the Miami linebacker,
who began at Rutgers, I said a couple of weeks ago jokingly, he tackled Justin Fields in a game. He did.
Yeah, that's when it gets wild when you see guys have been in the league, we're in the draft class with guys in 5th, 6th years in the NFL.
I mean, and the guy's last name is really tough to pronounce. So Talia Pupapu or Talia Pupapu or
the 9th year guy,
Pupapu, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, he graduated high school in 20. He was in the same class as Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
And Micah Parsons. I hate it for Owen Heineke. Justice for him. He needs an opportunity to play.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for a Tuesday edition of the Playbook. We appreciate those at Smoky Mountain Brewery for having us today. Special thanks to Walker Smith back at the studio, manning things down, as well as Will Palumbo, getting some reps on the technical side of things today.
Remote shows.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, good stuff. We appreciate you listening along with us. Coming up next, it's The Drive from 3 to 6 right here at Smoky Mountain Brewery and on the Fan Run Radio app.